In April of 2011, I had turned 10 years old. My birthday is April 13th, which was a Wednesday, and this happened 3 days later on a Saturday. I remember this because my parents had planned an outside birthday party with my friends that afternoon, and we had a huge thunderstorm that blew over the table with my cake on it. It was pretty funny, actually, and all of us kids watched it fly off like a scene from Tornado. Everyone laughed that I had a powerful breath to blow out my candles. Well, this scary story happened that night. Everyone had left, and I went to my bedroom to video chat with my friends from the afternoon, still laughing about the flying cake. We disconnected, and I got into bed, thinking it would be hard to sleep. I saw the lightning flashing in the distance and knew it would be at our house quickly. Another front was passing through, and the wind was already up again. The rain was pelting my window as I lay down. In a few minutes, the first lightning cracked, and I thought that was awesome. The news had already reported that this storm would be dangerous, with expected lightning strikes every minute, making it one of the potentially most hazardous storms ever to pass over our town and to seek shelter until it had passed. As I tried to fall asleep, I heard the thunder boom. I could have sworn I listened to a much closer bang outside simultaneously. I didn't give it much attention, but it stuck in my head as strange. I turned on my side to watch the lightning out the window. The second flash came in less than a minute, followed by the crack of thunder 10 seconds later. I heard it again, the simultaneous bang. This bang was timed with the thunder boom. I tried to put it aside as some coincidence and tried to sleep, but a third lightning flash and thunder crack with a simultaneous bang couldn't be a coincidence. I was really getting concerned, so I got out of bed and went to my window. It was impossible to see out because the rain was hitting it so hard. I had to raise it. I was getting soaked from the rain instantly. However, I stuck my hand out into the storm and looked to my left, and there at our back door stood a shadow of a man with his hand held in the air with what I later learned was a rock. The lightning flashed, thunder followed, and the shadow slammed the rock hard against the door. I fell back and pulled the window down, locking it. In the flash of lightning, I was afraid that the man saw me with my head and shoulders out the window. Still wet, I climbed back into bed, covered myself, and pretended to sleep. Another flash of lightning. My eyes opened. A man's face was at the window, only inches from the glass, his hands trying to push the window up. I froze and closed my eyes, hoping the man would disappear without seeing me. Another lightning flash, and my eyes opened, and the man was staring eye to eye with me through the wet glass. I screamed in terror, unable to move. In a second, my dad ran into my room, and another lightning flash and crack of thunder lit the room. And my father was face to face with a man standing in the rain looking in. He grabbed me, pulled me from the bed, and swept me out of the room into my mother's arms, saying, "Lock yourself in the bathroom." He retrieved his double-barreled shotgun from the hall closet. He jammed a couple of shells into the breech, snapping it closed as he ran out the front door into the torrential rain, barefoot in his nightshirt and pants. We heard the blast of his 12-gauge, and Mom and I cried. 5 minutes felt like forever before Dad spoke from the hall. "He's gone. I gave him a chaser. I don't think he'll be back." In the morning, the rain had stopped, and we could see the damage to the back door the intruder had done with the rock. In another blow or two, he would have broken into the house. My dad said my scream probably saved us from a home invasion that could have ended very badly for all of us in our sleep. I graduated from the University of Cincinnati in the spring of 2018 and was hired through my internship. I found a small 2-bedroom house in the cheapest area of Norwood that was convenient to I-75 to get me to work downtown. It was run down, but I was a recent graduate with no money, and the place was clean enough despite its decades-old kitchen and appliances. I moved into the place in my first week after starting my new job. The first few days were nice, but hard work, making it feel like my space. By Friday night, I was exhausted from my new job and getting organized in my new home. I collapsed in front of the 45-inch TV in my tiny living room on a couch given to me by my parents. The sofa really made me feel at home, given that I had watched TV on it since I was 15 years old when my mom purchased it at Morris Home Furniture in Dayton, my hometown. I've been watching an American horror thriller, Keep Watching, which came out in October 2017. It's frightening. Kill or be killed because it is fun, says the watcher. It's hard to rest during this movie, and every sound in the house caught my attention, keeping me on a nervous edge. It didn't help that a summer rainstorm was pounding on the house. The house is a typical bungalow, 2 bedrooms separated by a small bathroom. I had a tiny living room and an even smaller kitchen with a place for 2 to eat next to a back alley window. I took the front bedroom because it was slightly larger, would accommodate my bed and dresser, and would at least get morning sun. I just used the second bedroom for storage since I didn't have a second bed or anything. The house backed up to an alley but had no backyard, just space to leave a garbage container. Out front, I could park my car curbside. After the movie, I went into the kitchen to make a frozen pizza and sat in the tiny alcove to eat it. As I waited for the pizza to bake, I heard a thud that seemed to come from the ceiling. My initial concern was that the roof shingles were bad, and the wind and rain somehow got up underneath them, but I didn't see signs of previous water damage and there was no dampness. The oven timer dinged, and I put the concern aside and dug into the Red Baron with a Barq's root beer to wash it down. As I finished the last piece of pie and swing of Barq's, I heard the thump again. I checked the bathroom, the living room, and the second bedroom, and there was no sign of damage, but the muffled sound of movement persisted. I decided it must be up on the roof. Perhaps a tree branch or something was causing it. Despite the heavy downpour, I put on my raincoat and investigated. The bungalow is only 1 story, but I did notice a window above the front door. But it was closed and dark, and there was no way up to it from the front. But it did mean there must be an attic in the house. Being more curious, I went back inside and thoroughly searched. I found an attic trapdoor in the second bedroom closet that allowed a ladder to access the space. I stood on a chair and pulled the door release, and the trapdoor swung down, revealing a folding ladder on a spring. I grabbed the last step and pulled the ladder down. As it came down, a horrendous stench cascaded over me. It was putrid. It stunk of death. I thought a raccoon or possum had crawled inside and died. The rain on the roof was much louder and hid the mysterious thumping I had heard while eating the pizza. The roof in the attic was a little low, only about 4 feet higher than the attic floor. I poked my head up into the rotten smell. It was dark. I could make out a window at each end of the attic. I saw one at the front of the house and another at the back. Then, a flash of lightning lit the attic through both windows, and in that momentary flash, I saw a man sitting cross-legged. I missed the steps on the ladder and fell to the closet floor below. I was momentarily dazed and stuck in the closet, trying to untwist myself and crawl out. A face looked down from the trap door that was beyond scary, watching me in my panic. I ran into the rain, not bothering with my raincoat, locked myself in my car at the curb, and called the police. When they arrived, the attic space was empty. The man had crawled through the alley window the same way he had entered. An old TV antenna tower was attached to the back of the house, and he climbed up and down as a ladder. The one thing that stays with me in this chilling nightmare of a rainy night is that derelict's face staring down at me from the trapdoor in the attic. I shudder every time I think of him. I babysit for 2 exceptional children. Their mom is a single parent who works hard to keep a lovely home for the kids, but misses out on many of their activities. Not that she's not a devoted mom, she is. Work just keeps her away from her kids' school events. I go to provide family support and give them a familiar face in the crowd applauding for them, as I was doing one rainy Friday night. The girls were in their school play, The Wizard of Oz. They performed excellently, and we were bustling with energy after the show. I had taken a lot of videos for the girls to show their mom later when she got home at about 9. The show ended at 8:30, so we had to hurry home. The family lived in a nice area, but it was far from the school. The houses were set back off the road, which made them very private. I thought the houses were secluded, and I only sometimes felt comfortable hiding away in the house, especially on nights like this when it was torrential rain and occasional thunder and lightning. Driving in such conditions is difficult on well-lit roads, but their road was twisty and narrow, and there were no street lamps. I worried that with so many trees around the houses, a tree would fall and block the way or knock out the power. I couldn't understand why a single mom would choose a location like this. As we left the school, a black Mustang turned out of the parking lot behind us. I took note because it's a rare car in this neck of the woods. I had never seen it before, and I knew almost all the parents at the school and had been to many events, and I didn't recognize it as belonging to any of them. The further from the school, the less traffic. Usually by the time I get to Sleepy Hollow Road, there's no traffic. But on this night, I could see the headlights of the black car not too far back of us through the rain. I wasn't driving fast, slower than the speed limit because of the weather, so any ordinary person would have passed me by now. We were being followed. Sleepy Hollow is a dark, curvy road with many blind spots, so I slowed even more. It was then the Mustang pulled right up to my bumper. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was some high school kids. I was slowing down. However, when the car put on its high beams, it was blinding me, and I couldn't see the road ahead. I decided to pull over and let it pass. It pulled over behind me, still with its high beams on. I tried to reason this out and keep the girls calm in the back seat. However, my heart was pounding in panic as this was an empty stretch of the road and invisible to any house. The guy got out of his car and approached my driver's window. I checked the door locks with a click and put my window down enough to see the man while keeping the rain out of the car. "Can I help you?" I asked. "I'm a bit lost," he responded, not looking at me but at the girls in the back seat. He gave me a wicked smile. "Your kids?" He turned his eyes to the two girls, staring at him in disbelief. I was freaking out when he turned to me and asked, "What are your girls' names? They sure are cute little things." I didn't wait for more. I slammed the car into gear, spinning the tires on the wet pavement. He grabbed at the back door handle and smashed his fist into the window, yelling, "They're not your kids!" I drove with abandonment on the slick road, trying desperately to get away. In the back seat, the girls whispered in a hushed and frightened voice, "It's Daddy." "Siri, call the police," I shouted. The black Mustang was on my bumper in a minute, tailgating me so close I feared touching my brakes. He was blaring his horn and was so aggressively menacing me that I told the dispatcher, "Please, hurry, we are in danger." I knew I couldn't drive the children home. I passed their driveway and accelerated until I came to the state route. I was so happy to see the blue lights of a state trooper pull up behind the Mustang. He was arrested for reckless endangerment and for violating a court order to stay away from the children and his ex-wife. It turned out he had only been out of prison for 3 weeks, and in that time had uncovered the town where his ex moved to. The girl's mother told me that night that she had been living in fear for the day he would be released. This wouldn't stop, she informed me. She and the girls would have to move again.
Subscribe.